For most of us, sending emails is very simple. You just write something and send email. I think that everybody in this place has sent at least one email. Am I right? If you did not ever send any email, please show your hand. Yay, I see. Good one, good one. So, I'm Ervin, and if you visited any of these meetups, you probably have seen me in the past. I'm working in Toggle. It's quite a small company, but we are working fully remote, and we have a bit of customers to whom we send transactional emails. Every now and then, it can become a problem when you have almost 3 million customers. You get some problems like bad interaction with your emails because you are sending a lot, and recipient servers think that you are a spammer. That's sad. And when you send a lot of emails, then actually you have to pay for it, because everything in the internet costs money, bandwidth, communications. If you are a simple home user, then it's not a problem for you, because you are small fish. You are not noticeable in general communications over the world. And also I was looking into emails problem, because I decided that I don't want to ever look into spam folder in my work account, because if everything is configured properly, that folder will be either empty or never have anything important to you. And back then, a few years ago, when I was starting to dealing with that topic, the Gmail had a golden key for some of the trusted senders, and I thought that it would be nice to have one such key for Toggle as well. And also on the slide I have written that if you have globally distributed team who communicates over chat and email, then identity thefts can be a problem for you, because you don't meet in real time in the same room. You have to trust the communications channels that you are using. And to be a bit more interesting, I will not do any sales talk or teach you how to write some text that will make you big money because it is good selling test. And I will not talk about corporate emails that are shielded with firewalls or using VPN or some kind of tunnels to isolate traffic. I believe that every one of you knows how internet works, but I did a small chart to help you recap some of most basic terms. When you go to internet, you open a program called web browser, you put in some URL which contains domain, your browser goes to internet's info service, it's called DNS, gets some kind of information from that service, IP address in that case, and establishes connection to that IP and talks using HTTP protocol. Very simple, but probably all of us have gotten into a situation where you have two parties. One party claims that he had sent an email, and the other party claims that no, there was no email. I think everybody of you had gotten into one of the parties for this situation. And do you have any suggestions? What was possibly happened? Yes?
Check spam.
Yeah.
Maybe something else, like one of the parties lying? No?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, that might be.
So,
Or maybe you forgot to press the send button.
yes, that happens. And also sometimes you can find out that, oops, there are 2 letters misplaced in email.
It can arrive in 2 to 5 days.
Yes, that's also a possibility. But in general, the correct answer is spam. And you have postman who delivers a lot of spam, and after that somebody has to delete all that spam. Sending emails is very close actually to visiting internet site, in the sense that if you look to the picture, it's almost the same, except that you use different software, you ask different kind of address from domain, for domain name from DNS service, and you establish communication using some other protocol. Basically, if you are not using any kind of graphical user interface to send an email, then you get some kind of that picture, and it looks like it has a lot of text, and it's very boring picture. So I had asked one of the organizers of DevClub to send me a test email, which I was investigating in great detail. Actually, it's good that it's in Russian, because very often you get spam not in your language. For example, you get English email and suggestions to get a lot of money from somebody you don't know. And before I move on, there is some similar disclaimer to the one we had in the first presentation. I'm not taking any responsibility from anything that you do based on these slides. There are lots of possibilities, but please behave. It's illegal to steal somebody's identity, even if it's easy to do. So, our example, I will step by step look how to create a similar email to this one. First of all, we have to connect to some server that will accept our email. Usually we can have one assigned to us by our internet provider. So we take a console command netcat, we pick some IP which I didn't show, establish communication to port number 25, and usually we can just talk to that service. First thing that you have to say is to say who are you. In this example, I'm saying that I'm and long host name. Basically, every time you go to internet, even if you don't have any fancy domain that you own and have assigned it to your IP, your internet provider always assigns you one of the host names, just because that's how internet works. So I used my host name, and then I started to say that I want to send an email from somebody who is looking like Kirill, and I just say, I'm writing email from, and put the address of my victim. And after that, I say that all the replies to that email should go to my email, of course. And after that, I say data, where data means that everything that follows is actual email message. And I just write email, and email usually has some headers in it, like subject, from, date, reply to, maybe. So I put all the headers, and after that I just write the text. Same email, maybe slightly different email, it doesn't matter. And the dot on the last line is very important. It shows that data ends here. And after that, mail server says OK and delivers the message. Simple, right? If it's always so simple, then all our emails should be always delivered, which is basically great. But after you send the millions of them, you discover that not every email gets delivered. You start to dig what you can do to deliver your emails. And of course, you hit the spam. You are a good person, but recipient server does not know that you are a good person. And maybe in our example, Kirill is a good person, and I'm just person. Okay, what can we do to not be a spammer? Or what can we do to protect ourselves? First, we need to decide what we want to see in our inbox. That's usually nearly same things for most of us. We want to see emails from people whom we know. We need to see emails for real business opportunities from people that we don't know. And of course, we have some communication networks that we just keep chatting in. But sadly, there are completely different kinds of things that tend to get into our inbox. You can get lots of spam via some mailing lists that you never subscribe to. You get opportunities to get rich, maybe. You get some viruses, of course, malware. And of course, you quite easily can get email from somebody who claims to be your best friend. And it will be very real-looking email, even if your real friend did not ever send it. Of course, we are IT specialists, we are professionals, so we say, dear server, I don't want to see the messages that I don't want to see. Please do everything beautiful. And server starts crunching, beeping, overheating, and tries to decide what to show to in my folder and what not. First opportunity is very simple. You can take an educated guess. Coffee mat works perfectly around half of time. And the other half, it fails. Very similar. You can use cards or magic ball. But it involves luck. You can't do anything about it. And I think most of you will discuss quite a lot what is worse. If you get important mail in your spam folder and you don't notice it, or you get and spam in your inbox. You can't get both at the same time. So basically, who thinks that spam in inbox is worse? Please raise your hand. 2. And who thinks important email in spam is worse? Okay, that's very interesting, because when I was giving this talk in Russian Dev Club, it was more or less 50-50. But here, you seem to be almost all agreeing that seeing important mail in spam folder is very, very bad.
Because we very rarely go there.
Yes. And it means that we cannot use anything luck-based to sort our emails. Can we use some kind of technology to make it happen? Yes, we actually can. First thing that we can try is to maintain a whitelist of email addresses who are allowed to write us. You basically have address book, all your friends are there, and there are 2 problems. First of all, you can meet somebody like me with whom you want to communicate later, and you can't because I'm not whitelisted in your inbox. And if you have Kirill whitelisted, it means that if I claim to be him, my email will arrive. That's very sad. You can check if same email is sent to a lot of customers. For that, you need to have a lot of mailboxes. If you're a service provider, for example, Zone or Gmail or somebody else, you maybe can get the statistics that you need. But if your company is small, then that method will not work for you. And again, you can get false positives from that, because there are Christmas time, everyone sends greetings, and you have one-off dates like GDPR enforcement date where everybody sends, hey, we have new terms, please accept them before it's too late for us. You can use some kind of AI or artificial intelligence to sort through your emails. In the past, you probably have marked something as spam, something as not spam, and machine could technically take over because you showed what you like and what you don't like. And you can try to whitelist IPs. If, for example, you put into your address book that Kirill is using Zone and Zone is always sending emails from the same IP, you can have some trust for that IP. But here the problem is that if you don't know me beforehand, you don't know my IP, so you can't decide. And of course, we travel a lot, so our IP can change. Another approach is to track not the Zone.EE email in case of me traveling and sending through Zone.EE, but track my actual email. Wherever I'm located, I will be somewhere in the sender's chain, and my IP will be, again, visible to you as recipient. But here is a problem, which is basically the same problem as in previous case. You don't know my IP beforehand, or actually maybe you can know my IP. And that was the groundwork for the technology called Sender Policy Framework, or SPF, which basically allows you to use your domain and publish information about your IPs that you're using for sending emails. You can even publish an advice what should do recipient in case he gets email claiming to be from you, but not from your IP. And it's very simple syntax. You put some IPs. And in case of Kirill, I checked the records, and the mail service he was using actually had an SPF record, and it indicated that all incorrect emails should go to the spam folder. I asked you to fill a questionnaire. It was voluntary, and 19 people did submit his or her emails to me. It resulted in 16 unique domains of your work addresses, and there will have been 2, let's say, not polite submissions. One of them was example.com, which is probably a lie. And second one was fake domain, which does not exist, but I did not get then why did you submit the form in that case? But okay, most of you indicated as user address something that is at Gmail, and looking through your work addresses, I noticed that you tend to use Google or Outlook for sending emails. And most of you, no, actually everybody of you had some kind of SPF record, but sadly 2 domains had it wrong. If record is wrong, it first means that your administrator is kind of, let's say so, he has to learn something. And secondly, it affects your score and reputation when receiving sender thinks who you are. Because usually it's like script kiddies or spammers, the ones who don't know how to configure sending server. So 14 people had SPF configured correctly. That's okay. And I digged a bit more. 50% or 8 people, or actually 8 domains, indicated that incorrect email should be marked as spam. 6 indicated that incorrect emails should be destroyed. And for 2 of you who had completely incorrect SPF record, it's up to server to decide what he should do. And with SPF, you can delegate IP address management to some other party. You just say that you want to include somebody to be your mail link provider, and that other party will be managing IPs for you. It's very convenient, and that other party can even include somebody else to be mail provider. And in case of SPF, you probably will not get replies to emails that you didn't send, because if somebody is spoofing you, he or she will have to deal with SPF protection and put some other domain which will not deliver reply to you. But include, it's very interesting. You can include, it means that you can delegate power of managing IPs to somebody else. And that means that if you don't check what happens after you include somebody, you can end up with many, many whitelisted IPs. This chart shows for each of 16 domains how many IP addresses are whitelisted to be senders. And come on, nobody in this room has 300 servers that are actually sending emails on your behalf.
Well, but if you use Google and Google has this many addresses, then it's okay.
Yes, of course. I use Google too, you know. And as in the previous time I was giving this speech, there are few persons or domains who configured DNS correctly. It has like 0 allowed emails, 0 IPs who can send emails, 8 and 4. I think that's a fair amount. It has redundancy, it's not big, and it almost ensures that I won't get my hands onto one of these IPs to be claiming that I'm somebody you trust. So that's bad. If you get hundreds of thousands whitelisted IPs, I can get one to myself. I can find the sneaky way to do it. And to think how email work, there are two separate domains in email. One is where to send a reply, which I was providing to the mail server before I started sending data. And second one is visible to user in the from field that your client program shows to you.
I'll add one thing, that there is a question that if it's just a common spam, then probably they are not going to that much use these IPs, but especially when we are speaking about spear phishing or an organization or doing something more shady, then probably finding the IPs is more, because most of the large
If you did follow my slides, then there was a huge drop in spam just because the SPF was widely adopted, and major internet providers dealing with emails like Gmail started to demand the emails to be signed and trusted. It actually helps to stop spam, but you have to think about other threats in internet like identity stealing. So thank you for comment. Second approach to protect emails was called Domainkeys identified mail. Basic idea is, again, you can use your domain to publish information on your public key and sign all your messages with private key. It means that the recipient server can actually validate against published signature and decide if it was valid email that is sent by somebody who claims to send it, or it's somebody else. But problem was, again, that this check was implemented to use the domain that is usually not visible to user. And that was very sad at that point. But in case it's configured properly, recipient can be sure that domain who signed it did actually send this email, because nobody else is supposed to have key to sign it. But problems are that DNS records are very short. It means that your public key will be also short. And that means that unless we use some modern encryption technology, your short key can be reversed and forged using modern computing powers. And criminals still can put their own domain into mail from and show your company domain in the mail from that client program will show to you. These addresses are completely separate, and people are actually abusing that. That is, for example, how such record looks. There is an signing protocol, public key, and version. Problem is that you can put a lookalike domains, because you can have any Unicode character in your domain name. You can have several combinations for every letter, and user, if will be checking message sources with magnifying glass and digging around, likely will not notice any problem. So let's recap. What did I tell so far? We have each email having two separate senders. They can be separate domains. One is shown to user. Second is used to send back technical information like, for example, delivery failure or reply, for example. These addresses are independent. It's a big problem. And both technologies, SPF and DKIM, they don't protect the nice email. So if I use my domain to sign message and send it from my domain, I still can put his email to be from, and it's very likely that you will not notice it. And second problem is coming from previous problem. You don't know who is using your email. And it means that actually you can put 3 different domains into each email. You can have 2 domains in 2 different sender addresses, and you have third one which is used to host the key for DKIM signature. I can also add that there is IP reputation involved for the IP who is sender, but it's a bit different topic. I will not talk about it much currently. So the new technology has evolved. It was introduced to solve all the problems. It's quite recent. Sadly, most of people seem to not be aware of it. Again, you publish some policy in DNS and recipient server will check that policy and obey the instructions in policy. You, for the first time ever, you can demand that mail from and the nice user address that will be shown in the from field of your Outlook or whatever you are using, they have to be from same domain. That's huge, because they have to be from exactly the same domain, not a lookalike where I have my domain with slightly different variation of letter M, for example. And you can say that you require all emails from your domain to pass both the KIM and SPF policies, and you say what to do if one of or both policies are violated. And very new thing is that you can publish an email and get reports. If, for example, Kirill is using some service and he gets email from somebody who claims to be somebody else, first the server will check the policy, remove that email because it's forged, and secondly, it will notify original domain owner, hey, you know, somebody was trying to spoof you using that IP and that's the victim email. You can do something about it. And during my first speech, when I was showing how did I send an email exactly like Kirill did, the service that Kirill was using had no DMARC policy published, and it means that quite a lot of people can be Kirill. Proper record looks like this. You publish policy what to do with emails, you publish on email addresses where you want to get the reports. You can do incremental rollout from 0 to 100% how much of emails you want to, for example, delete or put to spam folder. And you set the flags for policies which you want to pass. There are two kinds of reports that you can order. First one is usually sent daily, and it has basically aggregate information. You will get know each domain, each IP, and a result of matching SPF and KIM for this domain, and count of messages that failed or passed. It's good. It's actually delivered by almost all major providers, so it's interesting to look in. But technical implementation, sadly, is a bit sad because there are variations in how this email is sent. Like there are two ISO standards how it should look like, but sadly there are a lot more variations that you will actually get. And second report is for immediate action. Right away after the server of recipient detects that there is some attack going and somebody is impersonating somebody, right away the server can notify you using the second type of report, and very often he will send the whole email that was trying to be coming from somebody else to you. From one hand it's good, and from other hand, if the email, for example, contains user password and user was just setting up some kind of forwarding of his own email to his other email, it may send user data to some other providers unless you are dealing with reports yourself. So we had 16 people, 16 domains who did respond to my quiz. And whoa, more than half of you do not use DMARC today. That's very sad. It means that I can hack into Eventbrite, get your names and emails, and start writing from you to other people. Which
probably you have access to Eventbrite already.
Yes, yes. But unless the people protect themselves using DMARC, it's too easy to be pretending somebody else. And why? Like really, why? It's a good technology. Why not everybody is using that already? And why we have to still get some spam, why we still have spam folders, like when can it be fixed? First problem is that you have lots of legacy software that does not support it. For example, you can have mailing list that is running for 15 years already, and of course it has no technology implementation for that. Because if you are running mailing list, you have to deal with you sending emails on somebody else's behalf. You have to repack the email into different envelope, sign the envelope using your key, and maintain connection for original sender and that envelope that you sent. It's complex, yes. And major providers move slowly to implement DMARC. And some of the local providers are also small, no finger pointing here. And we as end customers, end users, we can actually change that. If there is no demand, there will be no supply because they are connected. And that's why I'm doing this speech. I want to increase awareness of every one of you. So you go home today and you can check if your email is protected. You can check your work email and you can say, hey, admin, can you fix it like in 2 weeks maybe? And you can call your email provider or maybe even internet provider, because some people use email that is just given by internet provider because it's just easy. Less passwords, less typing. Let's go with that. And you can say that, dear internet provider, please implement that technology or I will go to different provider because I have choice. One big problem in Toggle when we started to using that technology and required that all the emails that we sent but fail the checks have to be destroyed was actually Microsoft, because on Microsoft Outlook servers and Hotmail servers, forwarding was broken. It was broken in 2016 and 2017. I did not run extensive tests this year, but I also heard no notification of open outstanding bugs to be fixed. So it's kind of blocker today. But again, it's we who create demand, so the supply will follow. And policy. For 9 domains, policy was missing with record. 4 domains said, okay, we want the reporting, but we don't care about emails. We just want to watch what's happening with our domain. 2 domains are brave. They said that if signature is not valid, then destroy that email right away. Don't even show it in spam folder. And 1 domain was that said, okay, maybe it's bad that signature got broken, but maybe it was Outlook.com who forwarded to some other inbox, so let's put that into quarantine. Or differently saying, into spam folder, and let the end user to decide what to do next. Now what? Demand, supply. I contacted providers of Kirill's email address, and eventually actually they fixed it. They have now DMARC record published, and it's correct. And I think that in result of this presentation, basically, that was shown in Russian Dev Club previously, and now is in its English version, basically around 1 million of people in Estonia and Latvia together who benefit from me doing this speech because their emails are now protected. That's a nice +1s in karma. And we need to go, don't stop here and increase public awareness, because local providers, small providers, internet providers, and other local mail providers are still need to be fixed. And at this point, I would like to give you a homework. I really want you to check the settings of your email, to dig deeper into your domain name system and to see what records you have, and start moving towards quarantining wrong emails, because it will help everybody in the end. No, and as usual, please bring friends to DevClub so we can have some fun and learn together something else next time. Thank you. And a small follow-up, I have a bonus track for you, really short, how to secure your company in 2 easy steps. Step 1, create the special inboxes. They are specified by RFC standard basically, and they're usually used for security notification from kind people around the globe. And second thing, start bug bounty program, because all software has bugs always. And if you don't have bug bounty program, then all your bugs will be sold at black market. Somebody else will get money and your data will get stolen. Thank you.
We have a couple minutes for question and answer session.
You can always have a blacklist on client program, but real spammers create single-use emails.
If you are like Toggle and I'm a bad guy, I can create an account with like this email address watched by RBL, and then when Toggle sends me something, password reminder, you're banged in that blacklist, and you will start getting emails of like, we noticed you are trying to send spam, and please verify.
First of all, blacklist maintainers, they need multiple submissions.
Okay.
Secondly, there are things like Gmail, Postmaster tools, for example, that sometimes used by blacklist maintainers to verify if that domain is really sending spam. And as long as I see that the Postmaster tools shows 0.01% of users who claim to be spam from Toggle, it's not a problem.
I have 2 questions, one for the audience and then one to the speaker. So please raise your hands who is not using Gmail as a primary personal email address. Okay. And then, Ervin, on average, how secure is using Gmail as a default email provider?
I'm using Gmail as default provider.
So you've got all these things implemented, so you don't have to even worry about it.
First, it has everything implemented, and secondly, it has large user base. Remember, I said that bulk mail can be indication of spam. So if Gmail is poking around all your inboxes, which it can do according to the terms, I'm quite sure that if you bulk send, then Gmail will react to it.
I also had one thing that when I was dealing with the question of SPF and everything implementing on our customer base in 2016, then there is a website which is called mailtester.com, mail-tester.com, which is a tool for sending your test emails and getting back the reports about SPF and TKA.
There are a lot of similar services, and there are even services that will process DMARC reports for you.
Yeah, and they cost money.
Not all.
Usually, if they didn't, when you started using them, they turn out to be asking money. So
Can't comment on that.
I tried several, so usually they end up calling you.
In my understanding, you in first speech said that you usually use trial forever, so
Yeah.
there are ways, you know.
Yeah.
Yes?
One more question. Email is actually complicated. On your opinion, from which volumes is it, like, I don't know, 10,000 emails per day, per month, per second, or is it more, is it less? At which point is it profitable to have your own dedicated, I don't know, email system administrator rather than to outsource?
Very
Mentioning this is bad example, but
MailChimp is for marketing email, I think, because there are two kinds of email: transactional email that comes in response to user action, and marketing email, which is basically spam.
Eventually, I want an API. I want to send email message to this address.
You can.
Depending of the purpose, like what this email message has inside. If it's a transactional email, a user expects it to receive, then there's one.
I think that you can start developing your application in small startup from zero, from ground up, using some email service provider, because if your volume is low, you don't pay for it much.
But at which point it starts to make sense to do email by your own?
You mean to convert from some third-party service to having dedicated server? I don't know, but 3 million emails is like too low for that.
I can comment. Last year I talked to guys from Sendry, who are one of the biggest providers, and they told that Uber is using them. So yes, Uber is, yeah, probably. But even if Uber finds it acceptable to use third party, then probably.
We are using SendGrid also. I like their system because you can use both API and postfix to send emails to them. It's great.
But SendGrid lately, you must start from the packages that you use. Started costing like $70 per month with private IP, because they used to have pretty okay anti-spam policies, but I think like a year ago they completely fucked up. So basically everything that wasn't private IP got so much bad reputation, so it was just impossible to use.
Well, that brings completely different question. At what size it's wise to have dedicated IP?
Yeah, so
But that's like situational, and there is no exact answer like 42 which will suit everybody.
So here is need to buy separate IPs from SendGrid, because they have some shared pool of IPs that you can also.
yes.
But it's not only in SendGrid.
Shared pool used to be pretty good for years.
Yes.
But like a year ago they changed, they're supposed to change something.
It's
And the shared pool started getting very tricky.
Well, it's user system. Either you take risks or you pipe more money in. You decide.